Krasnodar Krai is a federal subject of Russia, located in the Southern Federal District. Its administrative center is the city of Krasnodar. It had a population of 5,226,647. The Krai is sometimes referred to as Kuban, a term describing a historical region of southern Russia. Geography. Krasnodar Krai is located in the southwestern part of the North Caucasus and borders with Rostov Oblast in the northeast, Stavropol Krai and Karachay-Cherkassia in the east, and with the breakaway Republic of Abkhazia in the south. The Republic of Adygea is completely encircled by the Krai territory. The Krai's Taman Peninsula is washed by the Sea of Azov in the north and the Black Sea in the south. In the west, the Kerch Strait separates the Krai from the Crimean Peninsula. At its widest extent, the Krai stretches for 327 kilometers from north to south and for 360 kilometers from east to west. The Krai is split into two distinct parts by the Kuban River, which gave its name to this entire geographic region. The southern, seaward part is the western extremity of the Caucasus Range, lying within the Crimean sub-Mediterranean forest complex ecoregion. The climate is Mediterranean or, in the southeast, subtropical. The northern part is a steppe zone which shares continental climate patterns. The height of the mountains exceeds 3,000 meters, with Mount Sakvoa being the highest at 3,346 meters. Mount Fisht, at 2,867 meters, is the Great Caucasus's westernmost peak with a glacier. The Black Sea coast stretches from the Kerch Strait to Adler and is shielded by Caucasus Mountains from the cold northern winds. Numerous small mountain rivers flow in the coastal areas, often creating picturesque waterfalls. Lake Obrau, located in the winemaking region of Obrau-Dyezer, is the largest lake in the northeastern Caucasus region. Lake Ritsa is considered to be one of the most picturesque lakes in the region and the Diamond of Caucasus. It is located in an intermountain basin at the height of 884 meters above sea level. History. In 631, Kubrat was founded on the Kuban state and the Great Bulgar Khan's dynasty began. The royal city became Phanagoria. The territory of Krasnodar region from the 8th to the 10th centuries was part of the Khazars. After the defeat of the Khazar Khanate in 965, Kievan Prince Sviatoslav conquered the area. It came under the rule of Kievan Rus, and it then formed the Tutarakan Principality. Later, due to the increasing claims of Byzantium at the end of the 11th century, the Tutarakan Principality came under the authority of the Byzantine emperors. In that period of history, Russian Circassians first appeared under the name Kasogs. For example, Rededi Prince Kasogski was mentioned in the tale of Igor's campaign. In 1243 to 1438, the current territory of the Kuban was part of the Golden Horde. After the collapse of the latter, parts of Kuban were held under the Crimean Khanate, Circassia, and the Ottoman Empire, which dominated the region. The Tsardom of Russia began to challenge the protectorate of the Ottoman Empire in the area during the Russian-Turkish Wars. In April of 1783, by decree of Catherine II, right bank Kuban and Taman Peninsula were annexed to the Russian Empire. In the years 1792 to 93, Cossacks moved here from Zaporozhye, now located in Ukraine, and formed the Black Sea area troops, with the creation of a solid cordon line for the Kuban River and the marginalization of the neighboring Circassians. During the campaign for control of the North Caucasus to Russia in 1829 pushed the Ottoman Empire in the 1830s. Border was marked on the Black Sea coast. for the see Russian conquest of the Caucasus #Black Sea Coast. In 1783, present northern territory of Kuban region became part of Russia after the liquidation of the Crimean Khanate. To protect the river Kuban, a border garrison was here in the years 1793 to 94. The remains were relocated to the Cossacks, initiating development of the region. Administrative region received the status of Land of Black Sea Cossack Army. Before the October Revolution of 1917, most of the territory of modern Kuban Krasnodar territory occupied area, formed in 1860 from the Black Sea Cossack Army, the western part of the Caucasus Line Cossack troops. Kuban region was a territory of the Kuban Cossack Army. In 1900, the region's population numbered around 2 million people. In 1913, the gross grain harvest Kuban region entered the second place in Russia for the production of marketable grain in the first place. Politics. During the Soviet period, the high authority in the Krai was shared between three persons: the first secretary of the Krasnodar CPSU Committee, the chairman of the Krai Soviet, and the chairman of the Krai Executive Committee. Since 1991, CPSU lost all the power, and the head of the Krai administration, and eventually the governor was elected alongside elected regional parliament. The Charter of Krasnodar Krai is the fundamental law of the region. The Legislative Assembly of Krasnodar Krai is the province's standing legislative body. The Legislative Assembly exercises its authority by passing laws, resolutions, and other legal acts, and by supervising the implementation and observance of the laws and other legal acts passed by it. The highest executive body is the Krai government, which includes territorial executive bodies such as district administrations, committees, and commissions that facilitate development and run the day-to-day matters of the province. The Krai administration supports the activities of the governor, who is the highest official and acts as guarantor of the observance of the Krai Charter in accordance with the Constitution of Russia. Administrative divisions. Krasnodar Krai is administratively divided into 38 districts and 15 cities of district equivalents. The districts and cities are further subdivided into 11 towns, plus urban-type settlements, and rural okrugs and stanitsa okrugs. Economy. Transportation. Several lines of Russian railways cross the region and link it with Abkhazia, Ukraine, and neighboring Russian regions. There are direct trains from resort cities like Sochi and Anapa to Moscow via Krasnodar, which become very popular during the summer vacation season. There are also suburb train connections. The Apsheronsk narrow-gauge railway, the longest mountain narrow-gauge railway in Russia, runs through Krasnodar Krai. There are several airports in the region, including Krasnodar International Airport, Sochi International Airport, Anapa Airport, and Zheleznyach Airport. The biggest ports are Novorossiysk and Tuapse. Others are Isk and Temryak on the Azovc and Port Kavkaz Taman, Anapa, Zheleznyach, and Sochi on the Black Sea. There is a Kerch Strait ferry line which connects Russia and Crimea. Demographics. Population 5,404,300, 5,226,647, 5,125,221, 5,113,148. The population of Krasnodar Krai is concentrated in the Kuban River drainage basin, which was traditionally Cossack land. The Kuban Cossacks are now generally considered to be ethnic Russians, even though they are still an important minority in their own right in the area. Other notable ethnic groups are the Adiga, who have lived in the Kuban area for thousands of years, and the Armenians, who have lived in the region since at least the 18th century. Ethnic groups. The 2010 census identified ethnic groups, as shown in the following table. 101,657 people were registered from administrative databases and could not declare an ethnicity. It is estimated that the proportion of ethnicities in this group is the same as that of the declared group. Vital statistics for 2007. Source: birth rate 11.19 per 1,000. Death rate 14.39 per 1,000. Net immigration plus 7.1 per 1,000. NGR minus 0.32% per year. PGR plus 0.39% per year. Vital statistics for 2008. Population 5,100,000. Births 62,200. Deaths 72,900. Vital statistics for 2012. Births 69,031. Deaths 69,427. Total fertility rate. Religion. According to a 2012 official survey, 52.2% of the population of Krasnodar Krai adheres to the Russian Orthodox Church. 3% are unaffiliated generic Christians. 1% are either Orthodox Christian believers who don't belong to church or members of non-Russian Orthodox churches, and 1% are Muslims. In addition, 22% of the population declares to be spiritual but not religious, 13% is atheist, and 7.8% follows other religions or did not give an answer to the question. 2012 floods. On July 7, 2012, at least 171 people died in Krasnodar Krai, after torrential rains overnight caused the worst flooding and landslides in more than 70 years. Over 280 millimeters of rain, the typical amount for a 4 or 5 month period, was reported to have fallen within 48 hours. A local police spokesman stated that most of the dead were in Krasnodar district, where at least 159 died when a wave of water 5 meters high swept through the town of Krasnodar in the middle of the night. 10 more deaths occurred in Gelendzhik, including 5 electrocuted when a transformer fell into the floodwater, and 2 in Novorossiysk. Authorities stated that 17 people had been officially reported missing, and there were fears the death toll would rise further, while medics had hospitalized 210 people, including 16 children. The regional government claimed that over 24,000 people were affected by the floods, with more than 3,000 evacuated, and that more than 10,000 rescuers and 140 helicopters were searching for victims and evacuating survivors. In Krymsk, 14 temporary shelters were set up to house around 2,000 evacuees. The transport system in the region was said to have collapsed, while oil shipments from Novorossiysk were halted when the port, located in the lower part of the city, was threatened by landslides. Russia's President Vladimir Putin flew to the area to hold emergency talks with officials in Krymsk, while authorities in Perm Krai dispatched a rescue team to evacuate dozens of children from the region, who had been staying at summer camps on the Black Sea coast. Residents of Krymsk claimed the wave of water that hit the town resulted from the sluice gates of a nearby reservoir being opened, although this was denied by the Prosecutor General's investigative committee. Local prosecutors had earlier confirmed that the gates were open, but stated that it was too early to determine whether this was the cause of the flooding.